Donald Trump has been scrubbing the internet like your best mate clearing your browser history after you die, with over 8,000 web pages being removed or modified and 3,000 government datasets deleted so far. Today, I want to talk about erasure. No, not that erasure. Full disclosure, I'm not a fan of Trump, but I am going to try and approach this video in a fair but biased way. And because these websites and pages are going up and down like whack-a-mole or your mum on spring break, I want to make it clear that this information is only as good as I could get it by this date. He's impacting everything from diversity to inclusion to gender issues to public health research to environmental policy to social programs. So much like Christmas morning at Richie Rich's house, there's a lot to unpack here. To make it a little bit more digestible for you, the great unwashed, I've broken it down into 4 categories: removing identity, silencing science, erasing reproductive rights and social services, and dismantling transparency. Basically, Trump's greatest hits. Let's do this. Part 1. Removing identity. To kick off, census.gov went offline to remove research tied to race, gender, or LGBT demographics. And when the site came back online, it had fewer minorities than a 1950s sitcom. If you're an LGBT or minority veteran, the Veteran Affairs Department has a new set of resources for you called Good Luck, although there has been some pushback on this, but Trump has deleted all those emails. So, and I don't want to get too technical in this video, but a crap ton of content has been deleted from federal websites mentioning gender identity and DEI programs. Oh, and all staff were required to remove their pronouns from their email signatures. Between this and bringing back plastic straws, he really is focused on the big issues. The National Park Service erased references to transgender history at Stonewall, shortening LGBTQ+ to just LGB, which is ironic because the whole riot thing was about not wanting to be erased. And finally, Trump got Arlington National Cemetery to unpublished pages related to Hispanic veterans. They also removed these graves from tours and educational materials. Not content with picking on black, female and Hispanic veterans, Trump decided to crack out his overtly comically sized pen and sign an executive order to get rid of all mentions of LGBT and trans data from health files. Now, credit where the bare minimum has happened. One judge has said to bring back that data, and 2 medical professors are suing the Trump administration for taking down their research paper because it mentioned the LGBT community. But in bad news, the Department of Justice has removed over 180 web pages, including data on state-level crime and anti-LGBT hate crimes. Now, you might be thinking, how are they able to find all the mentions of the LGBT community so quickly? Well, me in a hat. He used AI and basically searched for words like gay. And we know this because they started to delete mentions of Enola Gay, a Boeing B-29 bomber who dropped bombs in World War II. Based on how well this is going, I'm sure Elon's plans to delete government staffers and replace them with an AI chatbot will go swimmingly. Part 2. Silencing science. Trump has never been a big fan of facts.
Fake news.
So it's unsurprising that since taking office, he's made the CDC wipe 3,000 pages, erasing research on long COVID, HIV, AIDS, reproductive health, and vaccines. Erasing history. Be careful there, Trump, or you could end up looking like dictator Zelensky. He also deleted photos and articles related to HIV awareness from the CDC's historical archives. Hey Donald, if you're watching this, and I know you're a regular viewer, this is a good time to remind you and your stands that some people are born with HIV, and straight people get it too. But not the good, white, straight, Christian ones. Shut the fuck up, me in a MAGA hat. Then the FDA pulled their draft guidance requiring companies to test medicines and devices on a diverse population. Because as we all know, every drug works the same on every human, forever and ever, amen. Given that smart devices can't tell one accent from another, you'd think this would be obvious, and yet, here we are. Oversight has also been limited too, because we can trust drug companies to do the right thing without regulation or potential fines, right? Next, the Environmental Protection Agency and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration deleted climate datasets, including environmental justice tools and pollution tracking, and those pages were replaced with a deleted by executive order message, which is basically the Trump equivalent of a 404 page. Now, the CDC and the FDA have been ordered to restore some content, but the fact that he thought he could get away with this is incredibly telling. Over 1,000 research articles tagged under preventing chronic disease, including overdose prevention training, have been wiped. Good news, America no longer has an opioid epidemic. Vaccine guidelines for pregnant people have been removed because the articles used the term pregnant people. I can only assume President Musk would prefer the term baby mama, the Environmental Protection Agency has also taken down tools like EJ Screen, a map that helps identify and visualize areas where communities may be disproportionately affected by environmental hazards.
Drill, baby, drill.
And finally, information on how to identify the early signs of Alzheimer's was deleted because he'd hate for people to catch him out. Part 3, erasing reproductive rights and social services. To kick off his terms, reproductiverights.gov was taken offline, scrubbing abortion, contraception data, and advice. And America enters its handmaid era, its tiny, tiny hand era. It shouldn't be a shock. Trump has 5 kids from 3 wives, and Musk has 13 kids from 4 women, proving that traditional American family values are alive and well in the White House. So what? They're forcing women to have babies. At least they're supporting the kids once they come out. Oh shit. Postpartum depression and mental health resources were erased from childcare aid programs, and Trump's freezing the money going to these organizations.
I'm Ron Burgundy. You stay classy, San Diego.
And go fuck yourself, Trump. Part 4, dismantling transparency. The DOJ purged crime and hate crime data, trashing evidence of discrimination and law enforcement misconduct. So he's rooting out corruption and fraud by deleting any evidence that it existed. One database was designed to stop officers with disciplinary records from being rehired in other government agencies. Ironically, Trump proposed this database in his first term. It took sleepy Joe Biden to finish the plan in 2022. And because Biden lives rent-free in Trump's head forever and ever, amen, it must go. It's not got his name on it, therefore it must be bad. Am I right, George Foreman? But why is he doing this? Well, me and another hat. It's hard to tell why Trump trumps, but if I had to take a guess, I would say it's his first step in giving law enforcement full immunity. And his Jan 6 stands a second chance, which is nice of him. Then over 3,000 government datasets were erased, including CDC health surveys, youth risk assessments, and environmental monitoring. And finally, the Spanish language version of whitehouse.gov was taken down. On other missing links, there's a go back to the homepage button, but on this one, it just says go home. Part 5. What can we do about it? Not a lot. Some legends saw this coming and backed up many websites and web pages, which you can find cached or in torrent file format. But these files are gigabytes or even terabytes in size, so too big for many people to just have a copy saved. Ultimately, knowledge is power, and people can't avoid repeating the mistakes of the past if you just destroy evidence of the past. To quote Orwell, who controls the past controls the future. Who controls the present controls the past.
Whoa, this is heavy.
And many people have pointed out that when Hitler came to power, one of the first things they did was burn books. For me, the most worrying development is the Trump administration has said that affordable fibre internet is woke, and I can kind of see his point. Fibre optics use light, light make rainbows, fibre broadband is gay. DEI internet! This attitude puts up a verbal firewall, stopping poorer Americans from accessing the internet and therefore seeing what's going on here. I'm sure he will U-turn on this like a teenager playing GTA 4 when his beloved Elon Pelon reminds him that he's got the ability to give and track everyone's internet usage. Stop giving them ideas! Obscuring information is what fascist regimes do when they take power.
Fascist.
Once more for the people at the back. Trump doesn't have to agree with this information. He just doesn't have to clear it from the internet. The problem with relying on the Wayback Machine for abortion advice, which is a sentence so dumb I can't believe that I had to write it, is by its very nature, it might not be accurate, or it might get slightly modified every time a new version is created. It's worth pointing out that past administrations have altered public websites when they came to office, but this scale of removal is unprecedented. And given how many AI bots are being trained on data from the internet, full video on that here, this will have ripple impacts. It's funny to me to watch how Trump has a kiss the ring style of presidency, and yet he doesn't allow any information which he thinks we, the plebs, can't handle. You don't destroy bad ideas or information by erasing it, you delete it by challenging it or discussing it. You can only do that if there's a mutual level of respect. So Donald, please. Godspeed.